California. And the other thing that helped us spur this surge was that in 2004, Pennsylvania passed perhaps the most aggressive at the time advanced energy portfolio standard in the country. Now, I think most of you know what it is, but just if you don't, let me explain it. Advanced Energy Portfolio Standard creates a market for the development of renewable and alternative energy. It allows those companies to go to investors and say, look, if we build it, we'll get business. Because our act said that by the year 2019, 18% of all of the energy, electricity sold at retail, sold to businesses, sold to homeowners, had to come from defined Tier 1 and Tier 2 renewable and alternative energy sources. We had the most aggressive solar photovoltaic standard in the country, and that helped us spur development at a very high rate. That, along with the investments that we've made, have helped us do it. Now, that was 2004. It's 6 years later. We need to update our Advanced Energy Portfolio Standard, and I am supporting legislation to up that 18% mandate to 28% mandate. We have to do it. So Pennsylvania is doing its part. Now I want to talk to you about what all of us can do to make sure that the United States of America and the federal government does its part. Think of what Pennsylvania has done to produce this green energy economy. We've done basically three things that I've talked about and one that I haven't, but I'll talk about it in a second. One, we've passed portfolio standards that create the mandate. 28 states have portfolio standards. There is no excuse for the federal government not passing an existing national portfolio standard for alternative and renewable energy. And you know, everything I'm going to talk about is something we should be pushing, wherever you're from, pushing your congressmen and your senators to do. I'm not sure that we're going to see a cap and trade bill out of this Congress before this election. But these are things that will spur the development of alternative and renewable energy, which is great for the environment, great for our energy independence, great for our economy, and can't wait. So that's number one, a national portfolio standard, alternative energy portfolio standard. Number two, tax credits. Fossil fuels have permanent tax credits for exploration, for research and development, etc. We have to, renewable energy bumps along with 1 or 2 year tax credits that have to be renewed. That doesn't work on Wall Street. Investors want to know that there's long-term security for their investments. Tax credits and loan guarantees are important. We need 2 permanent tax credits for alternative and renewable energy. That's number 2. Number 3, we need a strong, consistent loan guarantee program with no cap on it for alternative and renewable energy development. So those are 3 things we need to do right away. And very, very important, we need to continue to invest. The federal government should invest money in alternative and renewable energy. The Chinese do it all the time. All the time. And I'll give you an example. This isn't renewable energy, but there's a copper mine in Afghanistan, one of Afghanistan's few natural resources. And there was international bidding because copper is very important to the development of a lot of manufacturing, as you know, some of which is in solar and things like that. And there were U.S. companies bidding, British companies bidding, Japanese companies bidding, and Chinese companies were bidding. The Chinese government gave that Chinese company, $1 billion to put into their bid. Needless to say, the Chinese won the bid. We've got to continue to do that. Now, give President Obama credit. He's the first president that has put money into the development and incentivizing fledgling alternative energy companies, allowing them to grow. But this has to be done not just in a stimulus program. This is the 4th thing that we need to make permanent in the federal portfolio of laws that are going to drive this industry. And lastly, offtake. Offtake. The federal government is the largest user of energy in the country and maybe in the world. The federal government should consciously become an off-taker of only alternative and renewable energy. For example, and this is just a hypothetical, if the president said that in 5 years the entire federal fleet will be hybrid or all-electric cars. That would create a huge market for those cars, and they would be mass-produced at such a level that they would take off and be readily available for all of us. If the federal government, and I know there's a debate about natural gas, but if the federal government said we're going to turn our fleet from regular oil that we import to natural gas, and every other state government followed suit, and every other large corporate fleet, UPS is backstage, if all of their vehicles became natural gas vehicles, well, what would happen? You'd create, right now, the reason that you don't want to buy a natural gas fueled car is because there are very few natural gas fuel stations. But if every fleet in the country, government and corporate fleet in the country, ran on natural gas would be as available as oil at the pump, as gasoline at the pump. And guess what? Who's the Saudi Arabia of natural gas? United States of America. There are a lot of good jobs being created in Pennsylvania with the Marcellus Shale. Now, we've got to go carefully on the Marcellus Shale because there are environmental consequences. But we can strike the balance between environmental regulation and protection and a booming economy. And what does the shale do? Well, the shale is deeper than most places where gas is drilled from. The gas is locked in hard rock. You've got to go down in horizontal. It used to be very difficult, but the technology now has allowed us to do it. And there's literally a gold rush in Pennsylvania on shale. To get the shale out of the ground, to get it to market for the chemical industry, it can produce electricity, and it also can run cars. But let's think about what it does in jobs. A lot of jobs are involved with the actual drilling process. But I was just talking to Leo backstage, and a lot of steelworker jobs back in steel plants are affected because they have to produce the drill bits that are so important. And all of that has a ripple effect. It's energy that we produce here. Now, our emphasis ought to be for the long term on green energy because it's best for the environment. It's great for the economy. It gives us energy independence. But I think we as a nation have to get serious about this for two reasons. One, because it's important to our environment and to energy independence. And two, because it will create jobs. It will create jobs. Jobs, not only the direct jobs that come from the people who work assembling the wind turbines and getting them ready, but jobs at steel plants. It's crucial that we do this because there are two things that are in peril here. America's energy supply source for the future, and two, American manufacturing. And folks, we've got to get serious. The clock is ticking. We are in real danger of becoming a society here that manufactures and produces nothing. And when we do that, if we reach that time, and everyone can talk about, oh, that's, the world trade will take care of all that, it's a disaster for America. We've got to be a country that produces things. We produced things for the world for years and years and years. We were the engine that drove the world. We can't let that stop. We can't go back or we can't go forward with a policy that's going to kill American manufacturing. But the beauty of green energy is it can do all those things. It can protect our environment. It can give us energy independence. And it can create good family-sustaining jobs for America. So let's all get serious. Pennsylvania, California, other states have proved what the green energy economy can do for us. Now we've got to convince the people in Washington. Thank you all very, very much.